Hello everybody, welcome back to the Kuntry Klucker farm. My name is Noelle. I'm a backyard chicken keeper and I have been doing this for 12 years. I know it's been a while since I've been on, about a good month. We finally have our fence fixed. Yes, what time is it, ladies? Is it flock o'clock? Yeah, it's flock o'clock. Yeah. Anyway, I apologize for my absence, but we were in the process of fixing our fence from that tornado that came through in March. Believe it or not, it's taken that long to get things done. And the girls were penned up, so I had to keep them in their pens while we had the crews here taking care of this. But we are finally done. So now the girls are back out again. And while I'm being escorted by my flock to the shed for treats. Let's go, Smog. Let's go, bud. Take us there. This is Smog. He is a silver-laced Wyandotte rooster. He is the head honcho back here. Where are we going? I got the neighbors mowing, so hopefully I won't be drowned out too much. But while we're going to the shed for treats, I thought I'd introduce today's topic. I have had a lot of comments on my blog, not my blog, I'm sorry, my YouTube channel, about roosters and extra roosters and multiple roosters. Because as late summer approaches, many keepers find themselves in the predicament of some of their spring chicks turning out to be roosters, and now they're looking for options. So, as you can tell by the title of this video, this is options for extra roosters. So, one of the first questions that I get is, can multiple roosters be in a flock? The answer to that question is absolutely yes. But there are some stipulations that need to be met first. One, if you have, okay, there's a C-17. Sorry, I just don't normally see large planes like that fly over. Anyway, yeah, so there are some stipulations that need to be met. First, one is roosters need to have space. So when you have multiple roosters, you're going to have multiple boys that are going to be competing for a position within the flock. So one rooster will become the alpha roosters, and all the subjugated roosters will then fall underneath him in the ranks of flock hierarchy. So, if there is a situation where one of the subjugated roosters try to challenge the alpha rooster for a position, he is then going to defend his position in the flock. So what this means is that in order for there not to be any injury, the roosters need to be able to separate and get away from each other. So right now here in front of me, I have two roosters. I have Smog, he's a silver-laced Wyandotte right here. And over here is Enigma. Now, Enigma is a mottled cochin. He's a bantam. And these two boys live in the clucker. So I have three roosters that are in the clucker. These two, and then I've also got Lestat, which is a white-crested Polish, but he is not out right now. So these boys live in the clucker. Now, they get along very well, but I also make sure that they have all of their necessary stipulations met. Another thing you're going to need is ample hens. So I have two roosters in the clucker and I think about 15 hens or so. What will happen is when you have multiple roosters in one flock is the roosters will kind of divide the hens among themselves. The hens will also have a say in that. Some hens will have an affinity for one rooster per the other rooster. So, and everybody knows who's on which rooster team. So the rooster knows which hens are his, and the hens know which rooster is theirs. So once they come to that peaceful harmony within the flock hierarchy, things are generally going to be fine as long as you have enough room. This is space within the coop and the pen itself, along with outside. And also you have enough feeders and waterers for all the roosters. Now, on my farm, I have 13 roosters. Not all of them are in one pen. I have several roosters that are just kind of divided among all the pens in the backyard. And the requirements are still the same. It doesn't matter the breed. They will need space, and they will need ample access to food and water. Now, once they're in the backyard, in a free-ranging area, the roosters will generally divide the yard among themselves. They'll kind of divide it up into jurisdictions. So you'll notice if you have a large enough flock like mine with a large enough roaming area. I'm going to let these guys out. How did you guys not get out this morning? Yeah, come on. Come on. Sorry, my Polish crew didn't get out this morning. We had storms coming in this morning, so that's probably why my son left them in. But yeah, the roosters will generally divide the backyard into jurisdictions, so every rooster will know what the boundary line is and where that boundary line is, and they will do their best not to cross it. Once again, when you're out in the free-ranging area, you need to have ample water and ample food sources. So all of my coops have a water source and a food source. And in addition, I have waters that are out in the backyard. So that way everybody has enough water, because if you want, in order to reduce competition among the roosters, you need to give them as little as possible to fight over. So once you have enough hens, the roosters will then, or the flock itself will then divide itself up into, teams. That's what I like to call them, rooster teams. And the next thing that they're going to fight over is they're going to fight over resources. So if you have enough feeders full of food, and you have enough waters so they can get ample water, or they can take their hens to go eat or to go drink, you're going to have a very peaceful, basically flock harmony, because the things that a rooster would fight over are null and void. There's nothing to fight over. So yes, you can have multiple roosters in your flock, provided ample resources are provided, both hens, food, water, and space. Now, the next question I get is, okay, so what if I have more than one rooster, but I have a small backyard, but I don't have enough hens, but I really like my roosters and I want to keep my roosters, but I can only have one with the girls? That is a very common situation. And there are several things that you can do if you want to hang on to your boys. One, you can establish a bachelor pen. Now, a bachelor pen is exactly as it sounds. It is a pen that is just for roosters. So, for example, I'm going to go in here and check on something real quick. Okay, so here we have a situation right here. Here's Link. He's over here on the end. And he's here in the feeder with 3 of his ladies. And as you will notice, there's plenty of feed and plenty of resources to go around. Now, up here in the coop, I've got Mr. Lestat up there. I guess he's going to be the first one to bed. And you'll notice that he's not fighting with Link, and Link's not fighting with Lestat, because there's ample resources to go around. So this is just an example of what I'm talking about. Okay. I just wanted to grab that real quick while that was live and in action. So, bachelor pens. Another viable option for people who want to keep their roosters because they grow rather attached to them and they're non-aggressive. You can put roosters in a bachelor pen. I have 2 bachelor pens. Coupe de Ville is one bachelor pen. I have 4 white-crested Polishes in here. These are my breeding boys. These are the boys that I use for breeding when I want to propagate my white-crested Polish flock. And in here, they'll have the same provisions that I provide. Can you move for me? Can you move? Can you move? Thank you. The same provisions that I provide for the girls. So they're going to have food. Durania, will you move, please? Thank you. I have food. They have a water back there. And of course, over here, they have perches. And this is their little door and ladder that they go down when they go down into the pen. And the pen is down here. So I've got 2 of my boys down here right now. So the pen is down here. And they have kind of like a bungalow coop where the coop and the pen is one structure. So I have 4 boys in here and they get along very well. So contrary to popular belief, roosters can and do cohabitate together. But once again, there are several stipulations that need to be met. 1, in order for a bachelor pen to be successful, the first thing that you have to do is make sure that there are no hens in the bachelor pen. So the roosters can see the hens, they can hear the hens, but they can have no physical contact with them. Because as soon as a hen enters the equation, what you're going to have is you're going to have a competition as the boys vie for who gets to have that hen. So as long as you have no hens within the living quarters of a bachelor pen, your boys will get along. They will get along just fine. I have 4 in here. They have plenty of room. A bachelor pen. The only thing that you do not need to provide for a bachelor pen is nesting boxes and shavings, because they have absolutely no use for them. So actually a bachelor pen will actually yield more room simply because you don't have to stuff it full of all of the amenities that a coop, or I'm sorry, a flock, or yes, a coop that is geared towards hens. So that is one option. I have 2 bachelor pens. This is one of them. The second one here is the crucible. For the crucible, I have 3 silky roosters in this pen, and I let these guys out every day. They cohabitate very well with each other. They don't fight at all. They don't bother the other roosters or hens from the other flocks. And a lot of that is due to their temperaments, because silkies are very laid back. Silkies are very docile, and they would much rather hide underneath a rock than have any kind of competition with anybody. So these 3 boys, the reason I let them out into the yard with the hens is because they really don't create any problems. They kind of keep to themselves. They hang rather close to their own coop. And of course, inside their coop, they have their own food and water resources as well. So, so this is another example of how you can have roosters cohabitate successfully with each other. And these guys keep to themselves. They don't even try to mate with some of the other hens. They would just rather hide underneath a rock than actually be any kind of, or find themselves in any kind of a confrontation. Okay, so now let's move on to some other topics, such as, okay, I have an extra rooster or 2. I'm in the city, or I'm in the city limits, so all roosters are omitted, but what do I do, who can I call type situation? Okay, there are several ways that you can find a new home for your rooster. Now, when I address the second part of this video, I am not going to address using the rooster for food. I am absolutely not opposed against butchering and using your own livestock for food. I choose to keep my chickens as pets, so I do not have the experience to actually speak into that with any kind of level of authority or any kind of level of being able to be a good resource for that. So the suggestions that I'm going to give are going to be suggestions in where the rooster does not become dinner, simply because that's not what I do. So there are much better resources online, like, on YouTube. You can just probably find butchering chickens, and you can probably find all kinds of notable resources. But as far as my chickens and my vision for my flock, that is not included in my backyard because my chickens are kept as pets. So that disclaimer aside, one thing you can do is, okay, I'm going to tell you what not to do. One of the first things that you probably don't want to do, that you're probably going to be inclined to do, is to post a list on Craigslist for a rooster that needs homes. Now, the reason I'm going to say this is not an option is because towards late summer, the internet is absolutely saturated with roosters that are needing homes because the spring chicks are now adults, the girls are now laying, the roosters are now crowing, and now many people are finding themselves in a situation where they have to unload a rooster. Craigslist, yes, some people can find homes for their roosters, but you got to understand the list for roosters is going to be extremely long. So the odds of your rooster finding a home is going to be relatively slim. Okay, options. One thing you can do is, in your area, Google poultry clubs or poultry groups or 4-H groups. If you have a poultry club or a poultry group in your area, I would give them a call, because there are going to be many people in those groups who not only have chickens, but will be looking for especially purebred or rare breed chickens that they would then very happily take off your hands. I have even obtained some of my roosters through this avenue. I wouldn't call myself a sanctuary per se, but I have taken in roosters that needed homes, roosters that were very docile, roosters of breeds that I particularly needed, such as the Polishes. So a poultry club in your area. And if you're wondering, where do you contact these people? Well, one is to just simply Google that. Another way you can find poultry clubs in your area is at your local farm and feed store. So oftentimes they will have bulletin boards of, poultry clubs, and contact this number if you want to join. So you would just contact that number, talk to these people, and see what they can do to help you. Another thing you can do, in addition to the poultry clubs, is most cities or counties will have fairs in the fall. Go to the fair. Go to the livestock barns. Talk to the people. See if anybody is needing a rooster. Many times it is very easy to find an acceptable home for your rooster through those avenues as well. Another thing you can do is Google rooster sanctuaries. There are people, myself included, although my operation is not nearly as large as some others, of people who will take in roosters that need homes, or people who will take in roosters that have been dumped. So I live in the country, so it's not uncommon for people to come out here and dump roosters. And then, of course, if they run across my path, if they're healthy, if they're not aggressive, I'll see what I can do to either A, adopt it, or find a home for it. So there are many, many viable options out there if you need to find a home for your rooster. And also, another thing you can do is Facebook groups. So there are several groups on Facebook that are just all oriented around roosters and finding a rooster home. And so there are ways that you can connect with other people who have the land or the resources necessary in order to keep several roosters. Now, I do want to warn you, that if you do something like Craigslist, or you've already done it and now you're like, what do I do now? There's not much you can do, but you do need to understand that a lot of those places, a lot of those groups, the roosters can end up in the cockfighting arena. So that's something else that you kind of need to watch out for when you're finding a home for your roosters. You don't want to give your rooster to something or someone which would then, engage in cruelty with the bird. There's nothing wrong with, butchering a rooster if you need, if you butcher your roosters for food, or if you know somebody who butchers roosters. But just know that when you give the rooster to that person, that is going to be the fate of the rooster. So the reason I'm saying this is I've come across several people in my walk through this backyard chicken adventure who gave up their roosters to someone that they found, on some of those sites. And it ended up that the rooster was dinner. And the owner of the rooster who gave up the rooster was absolutely horrified because they thought that they were giving this rooster up to be a pet. And that was indeed not the case or the intentions of the recipient of the rooster. So you need to have that in mind. You need to know that when you sell your rooster or you give away your rooster online, there's a chance that he's not going to be a backyard pet with a hens of his own. There is a chance that he could become dinner, and there's nothing wrong with that, but you just need to be prepared for that, and you just need to be able to accept that as a possibility. If you're looking for, if you really care about your rooster but you can't keep your rooster, look up the poultry clubs. Find a rooster sanctuary. There are always alternatives to rehoming your rooster in a situation that you can be at peace with not being able to keep your rooster. So Smog here, he is a silver lace Wyandotte. He is a hatchery goof up. In other words, I ordered 4 hens and I ended up getting 3 hens and a rooster. Of course, I didn't panic because I have a backyard that's very much set up for roosters. And he has turned out to be one of the most amazing, gentle, incredible roosters that I've ever owned. So just because you have a rooster, their reputation does not really precede them. Yes, the roosters of yesteryear, that haunted our dreams as kids at our grandma's farm, they were a different rooster. They were more closely related to game birds. But now, since chickens have pretty much taken the nation by storm, hatcheries are responding by breeding roosters for personality temperaments that are a lot more docile and friendly. So just because you have a rooster doesn't necessarily mean that he's going to be a terror bird. Although that T-Rex blood does run pretty deep, not all roosters grow up to be these horrors that, starred in our childhood dreams of our grandparents' farms. There's lots of variability to breeds and variability to hatcheries who are breeding for temperaments that backyard chicken keepers want. And that is a friendly breed, a docile breed, breeds that are more situated for the backyard hobbyist versus the poultry farm. So that's something that is in your favor if you're watching your chicks grow and suddenly finding out that one of them is crowing. If you're allowed to keep roosters, see how it goes. If it's possible to keep him and you want to, there's no reason why you can't. If you have more than one rooster, but you can only have one with the girls, set up a bachelor pen. There's always alternatives to having to either kill your rooster or find other methods of rehoming for him. So, let me think if I got any other questions that I have had. Overmating. That's another question that I have. What happens if I don't have enough hens and my hens are overmated. Well, what this means is that your rooster isn't doing anything wrong. He's doing what roosters do, but there's not enough hens to go around to bear the brunt of his activity. So there's several things that you can do in this instance. One, if you have the resources, remove one of the roosters from the pen and put him in a coop of his own. Or if you have multiple roosters, just leave one rooster in there and either rehome or put your other roosters in a bachelor pad. If that's not an option, one thing you can do is get hen saddles. Okay, so hen saddles are basically pieces of cloth that you will put on your hen, and it will lay on her back, and it will basically protect her saddle feathers from the rooster's treading. There's various places you can get these. Amazon has hen saddles. Etsy is another place that you can get them. If you have skills, you can even make your own hen saddles. I unfortunately do not have that skill, so I've had to go buy mine. But there's multiple things that you can do in order to make your hens more comfortable, but also hang on to the roosters that you've grown attached to. So I think I have covered all of the questions that I can think of. So if you're watching this video, just know you're not alone. Many beginning chicken keepers find themselves in this exact situation, and are trying to navigate those waters and find options that are, best for them. And so hopefully I have been helpful. If you have any other questions, definitely please leave them in the comments. I'll get back to you as soon as I can and offer what assistance and help that I can in order to help you have the happiest life with both your chickens and your flock. Some things that are going on around here. Well, first, one thing that's going around here is we're taking down the Bantam Boutique. This is the first prefab coop that I bought. It is 7 going on 8 years old. I don't have really any use for it right now, so I'm taking it down mainly because I want to use this land for something else. So, girls, what are you doing? I just found a bunch of eggs. Oh my goodness, look at this. Okay, so I need to go. Okay, well, I just now saw that. That is so funny. So yeah, we're taking this coop down because I no longer have any need for it, and I'm actually going to turn that space into something else. So for those of you who are wondering about the life expectancy of a prefab coops make great coops. In fact, I'm tearing this coop down versus it expiring due to its life being expended. That's not the case. I'm actually purposely clearing the area there, so that should give some hope and some assurance to some other keepers who are wondering about the prefab coops. And of course, this is the TARDIS. This is the coop that the tornado destroyed. I guess it was back in March. We're gonna tear it down and we're gonna burn it along with this brush pile back here, along with that coop down here. But we can't do that till later this fall because weather isn't right for that right now. So those are some things that are going on here. And our fence is fixed, so I should be able to do a little bit more videos. I'm sorry about my month hiatus there, but with the girls locked up and the fence underneath construction, it just really wasn't conducive to a very a nice setting for a backyard chicken video. So anyway, I'm back. I want to thank you all for your support. If you have just stumbled across my channel, my name is Noelle. I am the owner, editor, and creator and writer of the Kuntry Klucker blog. I'm a backyard chicken keeper, published author, and I've been doing this for 12 years. For those that have been following me for some time, I want to say thank you very much for your support. It is your support that allows me to make these videos and produce content and information that will help others. So anyway, well, I've got a storm brewing back here. We got a thunderstorm coming. I've been hearing the thunder and it's getting closer, so I think I'm gonna have to let you guys go for now, and we'll be back soon. Bye.